Hi, and welcome to our last section of this volume. This is section number 4, and we are going to talk about monitor and logs. So, what we did until now in the previous 3 sections was to create an architecture and understand how we can utilize all of AWS serverless services, how we can integrate data, how we can integrate so many services that we talked about. But just before we are going to production, we need to make sure that we are ready for production in terms of logs and alerts and monitoring and everything that I need to know in order to make sure that my application is running, and if something goes wrong, I can be notified or I can take some action to fix this issue. So this is our section. And the first video is going to be about logs, and we're going to talk about logs with CloudWatch. So at first we're going to understand what is CloudWatch, and we're going to see how we can integrate CloudWatch with Lambda function. And since CloudWatch has somewhat limitations regarding to how well we can search our logs, we're going to talk about streaming our logs to somewhere else, in our case specifically Elasticsearch. What is CloudWatch? CloudWatch is the eyes to view what we have in our cloud. I'm going to say something that is related to traditional cloud. So the very basic thing that comes in mind talking about monitoring is things like CPU and memory. And I want to circle back to the beginning of this course, because in serverless you don't have those terms of monitoring your instance, your hardware, your virtualization. So we're going to focus about serverless. So we have the first thing that we're going to see in cloud, which is logs. And logs is simply the output generated by your application code. And we're going to have some monitoring. And monitoring is very interesting, what we can and what we want to monitoring in serverless solutions. We have the alerts, which simply is a threshold based on your monitoring, that if you exceed this threshold, you are going to send some kind of notification. Could be an email, an SMS, could be an API call, or maybe integrate with your Slack to notify that something had occurred. Could be events and a lot of things that CloudWatch is giving us in order us to see easily what is happening in this particular moment and what happened in the past. Because if I had an issue, I want to investigate what happened before, what led to this scenario. And specifically, we're going to talk about logs. Logs is a critical thing for us to know what happened, when, why, which specific component in our code generated this issue so we could fix our bug. And since we want our log maybe to be searchable better way than what CloudWatch offers us, we would like to stream it out of CloudWatch into another place. So let's start to see what can we get from AWS in this manner. So as you can see here, we have our function and we have our resize image function that we saw earlier in this course. Okay, so the UI of Lambda function has changed since the reInvent conference of AWS. Amazon has released a new UI and few features that we will mention in this course. So this is the new UI and it's a bit different, but not too drastically changed. So if you want to talk about logs, we can go to monitoring. And in our monitoring, you can see that we have this kind of dashboard that is showing data about what happened. And this is the basic monitoring that we have for Lambda function. And what you can see here is CloudWatch metric at a glance. So this is a CloudWatch component simply injected into the area of the Lambda function. So you can see jump to metrics. This will take us to the CloudWatch and again logs. So let's start off with our logs. So we are going to our CloudWatch. So CloudWatch here is, you can see CloudWatch and log stream. So we have in CloudWatch couple of things. We can see dashboards and alarms and things that related to billing and events and rules and metrics, all kind of data. And we will start off with logs. So you can see /AWS Lambda resize image. This is my image. Do you expire? Does the data going to disappear? So it's not going to disappear forever. This is the default. Probably if you want to save some cost, I would advise you to, let's say, expire after a month or something like that. So let's see what we have. So we just clicked a specific log group. Group is all the logs aggregated by a single resource. So we're talking about the Lambda function resize image. So everything that resize image is going to be output to this log group. And log stream is all the data that is generated for a specific version. So you can see the date, and this is the latest, and you can see here a generated number, which is actually the current version. So those are my tries to make it work, and it took me like half an hour, and this is when I actually started to use it. So we can look at the logs, and now every time you are going to see here something related to every entry, every row is simply a console log in our code, or something that AWS itself out for me. So the first would be start. This is something that started, and this is the end. And this is the summary that AWS provided for me. This was the duration and the total billing time and the memory and everything that is related here. So if I would go to my Lambda function and just write console.log, it will appear here, and this is the way that I can integrate CloudWatch logs with my Lambda function. And this is very, very nice. And this is the basic thing that I can do. I can do a couple of things. I can limit my search to something prefixed like this, 5 minutes, 6 hours, or anything you want to do to create a customized. You have here the search filter. Let's do A space D. So A space D is going to return everything because this is kind of a pattern. So if you want to specify exactly A and D, you're gonna put here this pattern with quotes. So in case you want to know what you can do with this syntax, you can go to this link, simply search in Google AWS filter and pattern syntax. The first result will take you to this page, and this page will simply explain you everything you can do with searching. And this is quite comprehensive, and you can do a lot of queries on your logs. But it's a bit complicated, and you really need to know specifically how to work with CloudWatch, and it's somewhat not comfortable to do that. So we might want to look for another way. So we have a couple of options. The first option is go to the log group that you're interested in, and you can see here the actions that you can do. So you can create a log group, you can delete the log group, and you can export your data. So you can just go ahead and say, I want to export data from to which bucket, and it simply will create log files in your S3 bucket, and you can then export it to anywhere, or maybe use some tool to analyze this data. So this is one option that you have. The second option is to stream data to Amazon Elasticsearch service. So Amazon Elasticsearch is a service, a managed service for Elasticsearch. In case you're not familiar with Elasticsearch, it is a database with full text search, and it's amazing to do queries on your logs with Elasticsearch. It also comes with a plugin called Kibana, which makes it even easier to work with. And simply create an Elasticsearch cluster. You're going to choose the cluster here and do start streaming, and it works. You can also send this data to an Elasticsearch cluster not in your account. So some companies choose to have a production account, and you don't want to have people to have access to it, so maybe you want to do that in a different account. So this is what you can do in terms of streaming it. And also you can stream the logs to Lambda function. And this is an interesting thing to do because you just ran a Lambda function, and this Lambda function output logs to CloudWatch, and then it's going to be streamed again to a different Lambda function. And this is something really, really good to do when you want maybe to create alerts, maybe to read the logs and make some action upon the logs. So this is something that you can quite easily.